And we welcome you into Dodger Poke Report, where tonight we have a very, very, very special guest. James Outman joins us. He is an outfielder in the Dodgers organization. And James is a young man who has done nothing but climb and climb and climb through the Dodgers organization. Spent last season in Double-A. Well, he started in Great Lakes, ended in Double-A Tulsa. I got a firsthand look at how awesome he played down the stretch of that season, has finished that up with a tremendous fall league in Arizona. James, I want to thank you for coming in on Dodger Poke Report and congratulate you not only on just a great career, but specifically a great 2021 as we'll cover as we go on with this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start and let's back it all the way up. And I got to say, as I look through this, of course, I'm a baseball guy, very jealous with the type of mentorship that you've been able to develop your game underneath. I'm sure it started way before high school, but let's back it up to high school coach Giannino. Awesome coach. He teaches a great mental approach to the game. You move on to Coach Christensen, who is a Hall of Famer at Sac State. And then obviously you end up with the Dodgers, who teach a great culture there. So let's back it up. I know you're a two-sport star at Junipero Serra in California. So talk about your high school days. Talk about Coach Giannino and how all that went for you.
Yeah, so Craig's been kind of a family friend to us for a couple of years, even before I was going to high school. My mom was actually his kid's teacher, so I knew him for a few years, even before I got to Sarah. So we already had a pretty good relationship, and we were just able to continue that, as my career progressed in high school and stuff. He's a great dude. I have a lot of respect for him. And then, football, I learned a lot about sports just in general, just competing and having that kind of mindset from our football coach, Patrick Walsh.
And I got to ask you, I've seen you go up against the wall in center field. I know you've adjusted to playing center field, and you have no fear of running into the wall at all. And would you attribute, the fearlessness that you approach a baseball with as you go up against the wall, would you attribute that to the middle linebacker days and the tight end days in football when you played?
I don't know if I would say fearlessness per se. Maybe that football kind of mindset made me a little reckless at times. And then once I got to Sac State and I collided into some walls kind of hard, that's when I became actually afraid of them. But, after a certain point in time, you kind of get used to the warning track. You get used to everything else. But yeah, it's just kind of like teetering back and forth from being reckless and being too cautious, I guess. So you're trying to find that middle ground.
Well, it's one thing when you're in high school and you're playing 30, maybe 35 games. You get in college, You're playing 50, 60 games. When you get into professional ball, you're playing every day, and you're playing 120 regular season games. You're playing all your instructs. You're playing spring training. So that probably has to add quite a bit of caution to that. But you mentioned at Sac State, and you had a very, very good career there. You chose to play under Reggie Christensen, who is a Hall of Famer at Menlo College, where he both coached and played. So you moved from Coach Giannino to a great coach, a Hall of Fame coach, and Reggie Christensen at Sac State. Take us through the decision to be a Hornet, and then also to play for him and your career there at Sac State.
Yeah, so I committed early. I guess early before my senior year started in high school, and I went up there, met Reggie, met the whole coaching staff, Jake Angier, Steve Holm, and I really liked it. I really liked Reggie's drive, and I think the biggest thing, the biggest factor to me, why I chose that is because Reggie was like, I just signed an extension. I'm not going anywhere. You're going to be I'm going to be there with you while you're here. And I had some buddies who unfortunately, lost their coach, right before they got to school. And, it kind of sucks having somebody that didn't pick you, be in charge of you. So, that security was awesome. I liked Reggie a lot. He is a super stand-up guy. It was a pretty easy decision.
Well, and you had a really good career at Sac State, but I know you had a tremendous summer in between your sophomore and junior years, and that summer I know really propelled you onto the map and really got you on the map to being noticed by scouts. So take us through that summer between your sophomore and junior year, the success you had, and how that put you on the map.
Yeah, so I went to Bethesda, Maryland in the Cal Ripken League, played for the Bethesda Big Train under Sal Colangelo. We played about 40 games, I think, there. And, I don't really know what it was, or, I couldn't really tell you anything specific, but, like, I just feel like the reps I got from playing every single day and, just seeing, like, some pretty good arms and it just – that was, like, the first time where I felt like I started to, like, really take off as a baseball player.
And then, obviously, after your junior year, you get drafted by the Dodgers in the 7th round, 2018 draft. Take us through what that was like, draft day, hearing your name called, getting drafted, not just getting drafted, but getting drafted by an awesome organization. You being from California, it had to be very special to be drafted by the Dodgers. So take us through that day and those moments when you heard your name called.
It was great. I had a little watch party with my girlfriend and my best friend. It was like on a Wednesday, at 11 in the morning or something when it was going on. So, everyone else is at work, but I was anxious like the whole time, leading up to it. Then I finally get the call, like, hey, the Dodgers are going to take you in the 7th, and then I just had this like huge sense of relief, like, oh my God, like, thank God, but it was great. It was one of the best moments of my life.
And you enter the Dodgers organization. You're known as a guy who, what they considered a plug-and-play defensive guy. Would that be fair to characterize you as defensively? A guy that was...
I mean, I still think I could have used some work going in, but Reggie was a stickler about, good defense. So I felt like I held myself to a pretty high standard in the field. So, it was not really an easy adjustment, but it was, I wanted to perform well and I knew I could. So I was holding myself to a high standard and then even a higher standard, once you get into professional ball.
Sure. And it's not a surprise that you've just continued to get better and better and better in the professional ranks because you love to play the game every day. You're a guy who, just watching your career and seeing how many games that you play, the reps that you like to get in this game, it seems like for you, playing every day really plays into your game because you get comfortable on the field and you kind of get in a rhythm as the season goes along. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I agree. I think the last 2 full seasons that I had, even my short season, I was off to a little of a slow start and I picked it up as I went, just kind of finding that flow and finding the routine. So I'm trying to find a way to be able to turn it on as soon as I can.
Well, you turned it on pretty good when you got into Double-A Tulsa. Let's back it up a little bit, though. Just kind of talking about some of the adjustments you needed to make, the transition you made into pro ball. I know you've worked really hard at maybe not changing your swing, but changing at least parts of your swing to hit professional pitching. Can you kind of take us through that and how that's been for you?
Yeah, so like the couple hours after I got drafted, my scout, Tom Kunis, who was one of the guys involved in drafting me, shot me a text and goes, hey, like, they're going to want to start working on you right away. And I was like, all right, let's go. I knew going into it that, like, I had a little bit of an uphill battle with my swing. Like, I knew that it was kind of just ugly a little bit. So it was, I explained to Will Rhymes, and we kind of joke about it now, like, I just swung the bat like a caveman. So it was I made a lot of adjustments, but I think the biggest one is just being able to relax in the box and, loosen up my body and let my athleticism take over instead of me just trying to muscle the baseball.
August in Double-A Tulsa, you got moved up in July from Great Lakes, from Class A Great Lakes to Double-A Tulsa in July. August, you really, really took off. You had 339. You had 7 multi-hit games. Your OPS was almost 1,000. So take us through that month of August in Double-A and just how hot you got and how fun that was. I know pretty much the entire Tulsa team started out slow and then got hot as the season went on. But take us to that month of August, the way you finished your AA season, and then take us into the fall league that I know you still have 2 games left.
Yeah. So Scott Hennessy is a really fun guy to play for. He expects you to ball out every day and compete every day. So it was easy to kind of turn it on. Not that it's hard to, but it was easy to play for him because he expected you to want to compete, and he was out there wanting to compete every day. And it's just you get to a higher level, and you kind of tell yourself like, okay, like these guys are really good. These guys are better than what I've been seeing, so I need to turn it up. And just kind of understanding that like each level is going to get better and better. I got to be more and more focused every at bat and every pitch, and so on and so forth.
You absolutely love working at the game. It's very obvious talking to anybody and everybody that I have about you and just your work ethic and what I call the process of baseball, the way that you approach every day and the work that you put into it. So you have 2 games left in your fall league. You're an all-star there. Congratulations on that. I think we've already mentioned that, but can't say that enough. 2 more games left there. Then after that, what is the rest of the offseason going to be for James Outman?
Man, it's gonna be get my body right and then just try and continue the momentum. My body's in good shape. It's just I just playing a lot of games and stuff. You realize you get a little bit tired quicker, but yeah, it's just gonna be trying to continue the momentum. Get stronger, get faster. That's always my goal every off season. And then just from there, bring it into spring training, with my foot on the gas, hopefully still.
Yeah, and you talked about having momentum, and I think one of the things that really created momentum for you was the fact that during the COVID season in 2020, at least the way that I understand it, it was not a completely lost year for you. Would that be correct? It seemed like you at least had some opportunities to keep what you call your momentum to the game going.
Yeah. So I was worried because I was fully expecting it to be 2 weeks. We're back in spring training. The season gets delayed half a month. And then 2 weeks rolled by. They go, yeah, we still don't really know anything. Then, 3 weeks, don't know anything. Then 3 months, the season gets canceled. And then from there, I'm like, man, I'm missing out on so many at-bats that I could be getting right now. Thankfully, thank God, Tom Kunis kind of set up this little thing out in Sacramento of all the Northern California Dodger players. Mm-hmm. So we would all meet up in Sacramento twice a week, have some at-bats, get some defense in, throw, hit, do all of that. So I would say I was getting anywhere from 8 to 20 at-bats a week, just depending on how many guys were able to show up and stuff. So that was huge. And then in that setting too, you can really, experiment with your swing and experiment with your approach and stuff, which you can't really replicate a live at bat. So being able to do that without the repercussion of your average falling or you potentially missing playing time or something like that, that was huge. And then big shout out to Tom Kunis for being able to set that up.
I think you have a great message for kids out there because you love the game. You love to work at the game every day. It hasn't always been super easy for you, but yet here you are just a couple of steps away from reaching your dream and making the major leagues. So for all the kids that are picking up a bat and a ball for the first time and want to become James Outman and get to where you are, what is your message for them?
So my dad has this saying. He says, how do you eat an elephant? And I'll sit there and I'll think, and I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, 1 bite at a time. I'm like, okay. And then it doesn't really mean much, but then the more I think about it, just you have this enormous goal, and it's in front of you, and you gotta take it 1 step at a time and keep getting better 1 day at a time. If you take some steps back, that's okay, because you're gonna overcome them eventually. And baseball is hard, so it's you're going to take those steps back. But if you can learn how to overcome them, get better, it's going to make you a better baseball player ultimately, just because you know how to fix yourself. You know how to make yourself right when you feel terrible. And it's those little losses that create a huge victory, I think, in the long run.